My guest today is Mr. Carlton Saffa, the Chief Marketing Officer for the Quapaw Nation's Saracen Casino Resort in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Carlton has been with the casino since its inception. He was the first employee hired when the business model was still just an idea on paper. Since then, Carlton has been involved and helped oversee much of the casino's construction, expansions, and gaming licenses. The casino broke ground in 2019 among the COVID-19 pandemic and managed to open to the public in October of 2020. At the time, it was the largest construction project of the year. Today, with the help of two other senior executives, Saffa oversees the day-to-day management of the property and its 800-plus employees. He has seen firsthand what his company is doing to breathe life back into historical Pine Bluff, a once bustling town on the Arkansas River. Saracen Casino Resort boasts to have an 8,000 square foot gaming floor, gaming tables, gaming rooms for high stakes and Texas Hold'em lovers, and a top quality red oak steakhouse that is award-winning. In construction now is a 13-story hotel tower with 320 rooms, and plans for a 1,600-person concert venue is on the horizon. It is with great pleasure I welcome to the table the ambitious, hardworking, jack of all trades, and superstar of Saracen Casino, Mr. Carlton Saffa.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You said.
So
what?
You've been doing the show a while, right?
2016.
Well, you about run out of people if you've got me on here, so.
Very humble.
No.
You're not humble.
No, I'm humble.
You are?
But I am very proud of what our team has done.
You should be.
And so let me correct you on one thing.
Okay.
That gaming floor is 80,000 square feet.
What does that say?
8,000.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
8,000, not worth getting out of bed for.
No.
It's the size of a football field.
That's right.
Bigger than most gaming floors actually in Las Vegas.
Yes.
At least contiguous,
That was
right?
a verbal typo.
You're good.
I knew that it was the size of a football field because I went there last night.
Well, thank you. If you told me that I did, I made it to the 8th grade or something, I wouldn't correct you. But I'll always correct people about our property because I'm proud of what our team did. And it was a team. I started there in June of 19. And I feel like I won the jackpot because my job really is managing slot machines and a lot of other things. But, slot machines are run by a random number generator. And I think my life, it's been a God thing. I think it's a random number generator. If you ran me through simulations a million times, it would never come out again this way. So only the hand of God can deliver something like this.
That's why I don't play slot machines, because they're programmed. And I don't know what they're programmed to win and lose at.
So, somebody won $950,000 the other day at Saracen.
Did you go in and fix that machine?
No. Believe it or not, we could talk about this, but believe it or not, I would contend, and I would love to be corrected, sincerely. If somebody's watching this, hit the comments and tell me I'm wrong. I think that we're the most regulated business that there is. Hard stop.
Probably.
Now, a doctor watching this will say, well, you don't know anything about medicine.
That's true.
Well, I would disagree. So all of the folks that oversee medicine, they don't have the regulator in the room. You're not doing surgery with the medical board over your shoulder. But the state regulator is on our site 24/7, 365.
Really?
Oh, they can get into more rooms than I can. And they have real-time
The state
surveillance.
regulator is in your place every day.
Yes, but you said you were there last night.
Yeah.
It's there to protect you so that the games aren't fixed or rigged. And that's not because they think we're going to fix the games.
So what is the
for
percentage?
industry. It's all public. It's all, shoot, I'll tell you anything.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
What's the best one to play?
I'll tell you anything except two things: how much cash we keep there and where the cameras are. Everything else is I'm an open book. So we hold about 7% of what goes in a slot machine. So hold means what percentage of the money that goes through do we keep and what goes back out.
Well, and when you say go back out, it goes out to the Quapaw Nation. You mean the
Quapaw player? We only keep about 7% on a gross basis.
So you're saying if you play the slot machines, you have a 93% chance of winning.
Sort of.
That's not true, because I've played the slot machines and I never win the slot machines. Blackjack, I win. I won $900 in Hollywood last week. Hollywood Casino, blackjack. You always have to play the side bet.
Some of our biggest payouts
That's
have been
where
there.
they are on the
We
side.
had a $400,000 side bet payout on an Ultimate Texas Hold'em
Oh,
game.
people always do the side bets when you're at one of those tables.
All right, if I've got one piece of advice for people who play table games,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to pick this like you pick a spouse or anything else, like for life, you got to make this decision.
You got to have good sex. That's how I pick my spouse.
Hey,
Yeah, very discerning. Very discerning.
I like it. Did it last?
Chemistry is what I should have said. You got to have chemistry. No, go ahead.
Chemistry.
So here's the deal. If you're going to play side bets, you got to play that side bet every damn hand.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're not going to play side bets,
don't do it.
Never, ever play side bets.
That's a good advice.
Because what will happen is if you intermittently play side bets,
You'll lose.
You'll drive yourself crazy because they'll hit when you're not playing.
That's right.
So either do one or the other and pick it like your religion or your
Stay
marriage.
on it. Stay on it.
But I want to say something quickly about the wallet too on side bets. So we manage very closely the hold. And I want to talk about hold for a minute if we've got time. Hold is essentially what's our margin, right? So some games have a very small house edge, a very small margin. We don't put anything on the floor. This is going to sound self-serving, but it's true, and I think you'll understand why here in a second. We don't put anything on the floor that's going to knock your head off.
Okay.
If I put something on the floor that has a 20 or 30% margin for the house, we're going to knock your head off. So some side bets at the blackjack table have ridiculously terrible odds to the player. Your likelihood of winning versus what you put up is awful. Some are great. They're different, right? You see Lucky Ladies, Trilux. There's all kinds of different side bets. We don't want a side bet with a 20 or 30% margin because players will play it and they're going to walk away in an hour and go, I lost all my damn money. I'm not ever going back to that place. Well, the reason they lost all their money is because they were playing a bet that sucks, right? So we don't put bets that suck on the floor because that ruins your perception of the property. I need you to feel like you either had your money's worth or you won.
Yeah.
So in Vegas, and I love Vegas, but in Vegas, many of your gamblers are there once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, or maybe they're conference guys who go every 5 years, right? They play occasionally. It's Las Vegas. Our business, 70% of our customers come from Pulaski County. Yeah. We depend upon repeat business.
We went down there, ate dinner, turned around, came back. I'm going to go back to the Red Oak. It's won how many awards?
Gosh, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
I think the promotional video we watched said 4.
4. So I know it's been named best restaurant in Arkansas 4 years running.
Oh, that's what it was.
Which is pretty cool because it's only been open 4 years. So, hey, Wine Spectator just gave it the best rating they've ever given a restaurant in Arkansas, and we're just getting started. So,
well, there's that Pine Bluff guy down there that's such a good chef.
Well, we've got a bunch.
Which is really weird to me.
We stole the chef. This is weird. We stole the chef from the Alotian. I called and checked first to make sure I wasn't going to get
you better
cross-referenced.
call Warren and make sure he's not mad at you.
We checked.
He's now the ambassador to Great Britain. You know, he might do something.
Well, I saw him today. I think we're good. But the old chef from the Alotian's there, Matthias, is phenomenal.
How long has he been there?
He's been there about a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
And he's just phenomenal. But here's what's crazy. He's cooking that incredible food, but his passion is pastry. He's not even a savory chef. And he's cooking the best food in Arkansas, right? So here's like a hot tip or a news break. We hadn't told anybody this yet. We're working on bringing back his sidekick, who he has cooked with all over the world. And you want to talk about culture clash?
Matt Bell.
No. And I know Matt. No, this is a guy named Sebastian. He's in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Before that, he was in Qatar, cooking at the Mandarin Oriental and places like that. And we're bringing him to Pine Bluff. I love it.
You know what I do? I have one complaint.
I'm ready.
All right, because before the show, I had Carlton critique all my commercials and stuff.
They
and he
were
was
great.
very open.
You look like it was like Patton. I loved it.
Yeah. So I want you to do a bigger entrance with a canopy and lights, and you can drive up and let people out.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
So I just want to tell the listeners, if they haven't been there, you threw this building up so fast. It's crazy. And when you get inside, it's all gambling. It's state of the art. It's great. But
there's no signage. I get asked that every day.
There's not even a pull up where there's lights and, you pull up under the lights.
Like a porte-cochere or anything?
Yeah, like a porte-cochere. There's nothing like that.
So I will tell you, and this may actually be interesting to the folks watching this. I think life is about expectations, okay?
So you're lowering the expectations, so when you come in, you're pleasantly surprised?
No, but there is an element of that. And this could be perceived as a criticism, and I don't mean it that way. So, George W. Bush was not a guy that gets quoted a lot, but he had something that he would say periodically. He would talk about the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Oh, I remember that quote.
I don't even know what it means.
I actually think it's great.
I don't even know what it means.
I think it's a great line. And what he means is there's a form of bigotry in expecting less out of certain people because of where they're from or what they look like.
Oh.
I mean, as Arkansans, we should understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So expectations are the whole game. And I'm going to get to the sign here in a second. But if I told you, hey, I'm going to take you to this barbecue joint in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's the best barbecue you were ever going to have, ever. And we get there, and like on a 10-point scale, you'd give it an 8 or a 9, you'd be disappointed. Because I had told you
It's
definitively it is
the
the best. But if I said, hey, we're going to go to this place and it's pretty good, Kerry, you're going to like it. It's one of the better places I've ever been. And it was an 8 or 9. We're going to get in the car and you're going to go, that ain't pretty good, Carlton. That was freaking awesome. It's an expectations game. So that soft bigotry of low expectations, people expected something in Pine Bluff to be half-ass. And it's not. But I will tell you, we built that in the middle of COVID. The first COVID case in Arkansas was in Pine Bluff.
Really?
We built that place in just over a year. It was about $300 million all in. And I will be the first to admit that it looks like a Lowe's. It really does. It's a blue building. I mean, look, that's my baby. I love that place.
I know.
But it's not done. Y'all, there is a 15-story tower coming out of the ground. The top of it, 2 stories, says Saracen. We're changing the highway routing. We're putting a huge monument
The question
sign.
was, you lowered the expectation when you walk in the door, so you'll be pleasantly surprised. And you said no. And the answer to that is actually yes.
Not on purpose.
The answer is that the building is still not done.
So that's my suggestion. When you get ready to do the building again, put in a nice porte-cochere with lighted ceilings so that you pull up and let your girl out and she gets out in her mink and walks
Kerry, in 1 year, when you pull up to Saracen, one Saracen Resort Drive, even the vanity address is there, right? You can either be dropped off at the hotel entrance and have your car valeted, or that entrance you walked into, which is just horrible. You walk in, first thing you see is glass wall, right? All that'll be changed. There'll be a porte-cochere with a big drop-off and signage and the whole
So you're
bit.
already all over.
Oh, yeah. But my favorite, about once a week, a guy I really respect or a gal I really respect will say, have you thought about putting any signs up? And I'm always really
I
nice.
didn't notice it didn't have a sign. Does it not have a sign?
It doesn't really have any signage.
Why is that?
Where the sign's going is where the construction trailers are.
Oh.
But I'm like, of course we've thought about putting up a sign. I mean, we think about everything, right? But I get a lot of amateur input, and you got to respect it all.
Hey, what are you saying about me?
Not
I'm not an amateur.
Not you,
I'm a customer.
You're a great customer. No, but when one of our bankers said, a casino banker from Vegas flew in and he goes, y'all should put up a sign. And I thought, no shit, right? I mean,
You just want to grab him by the shoulders and shake him.
give me time. Here's the deal. You'll see at the top of that 15th, it's 15 stories, 13, but 15 levels, two floors are the sign. The whole thing will be there. So it's something, but it's only 5 years old. It feels like we've been here forever, but it's only 5 years old.
So I was so impressed that while you were building your $300 million casino, you threw up in 100 days I don't know, warehouse. I don't know what it was.
We called it the Annex. We just sort of made that up.
Yeah.
That wasn't my idea for it on the name, but I love it. Annex.
Of what, 300 slot machines in 100 days? So
Wow.
while they're building it, they've thrown up an annex that's just, come on in and play the bandits, the one-armed bandits.
I will tell you that
was
place-
pretty good.
that you would-
and you said it had lines out the door.
People would wait in line to play slot machines.
I'm telling you, people love slot machines. I don't get it. It's the most boring thing in the world. But
So when I worked in government, one of the things I had the privilege of working on was the lottery. And I loved working on the lottery, but I never understood it.
Did you work with?
I worked for Ace Hutchinson.
Oh, that lottery. I was wondering if you worked for Mitch Chandler, who just passed away.
No, I knew Mitch well.
Yeah.
I knew Mitch very well.
Shout out to Mitch Chandler.
Shout
Rest
out.
in peace. Bro.
Yes,
Go listen to his interview.
he was. I need to. Mitch was the best.
He's just the best.
But I never understood the lottery. Now I didn't hold that against the customer.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a good tip. Never be so confident that you know what your customer wants They're always going to tell you what you want. So this has nothing to do with the casino. There's a lottery story. It's a short one. We had a scratch-off ticket that we had arranged with the St. Louis Cardinals. And I thought, man, this is going to kill it. I'm so excited. There's a Cardinals scratch-off ticket. I don't understand scratch-off tickets or the appeal, but this theme is going to be, we're going to set records.
Yeah.
And it was a total bomb.
Don't you just,
At the same time, there was a ticket that came out from one of the major manufacturers. And the theme had nothing topical or relevant. You'll see themes come back, Willy Wonka, right, with reboots of the movie or things like that, right? And you see that on the slot floor too. And there are kind of evergreen classics that never go away, like Wheel of Fortune. But at the same time that the St. Louis Cardinals was a total bomb, Betty Boop
no way.
was setting records. That's a head scratcher. And so that's my lesson to you is your customers will tell you what they want. And if they don't tell you, measure what they're buying and you can see it.
That's the hard part, measuring stuff.
All right, I've been all over the map. I'm going to shut up. You probably had some questions.
Well, this is great. Well, not anymore.
Thanks, folks. See you later.
Been good. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Mr. Carlton Saffa, Marketing Director of Saracen Casino Resort in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I would say which games have the best payoff, but he's already told you. So when we come back, we're going to find out how this jack of all trades ended up in Arkansas, born in Oklahoma. His whole family is generations of Sooners, and now we've got a Razorback amongst the Sooners. We'll be right back.
It's a new year, and it's time for a new flag. And at flagandbanner.com, we have all the flags and hardware you'll need. When you freshen up your flag, it's a great time to change your rope and snap hooks. Check out the flagandbanner.com YouTube channel for tutorials, decorating tips, flag facts, and more. Join us as we celebrate 50 years in business. Drop by our historic showroom in downtown Little Rock or shop online today at flagandbanner.com.
We're speaking today with Mr. Carlton Saffa, a big cheese and a founding employee. I didn't know if you could actually say founding employee, but you were the first employee, as I understand.
I think they keep me so they can say they have 100% retention from June of 19, right? As you look at employee turnover metrics. And I will tell you this, I wish marketing was all I do, but
I know. You do everything.
Yeah, I kind of think of myself as my job is to watch the Quapaws back as best I can here. And I love the Quapaw people.
How do you work with the Quapaw Nation Business Committee? Do you have to meet them every week or do Zoom?
We have a lot of Zooms, but I will tell you, you want to talk about a great podcast. I need to introduce you to Weena. So the chair of the Quapaw Nation is the most ferocious woman I've ever met in my life.
Weena, wouldn't that be fun?
Weena has one of the coolest biographies of anyone I've ever known. She's Quapaw, was educated in the Northeast, senior executive with an insurance company.
She live in Oklahoma now?
She splits time between her house in Florida and in Oklahoma. But
does she come to Little Rock?
All the time.
Well, she needs to come on the show and tell us about it.
She says she's home when she's here. But
our
relationship.
Is she Quapaw?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, they're originally from Arkansas.
Yeah, I tell people all the time when they go, Quapaw. All right. Pop quiz. Where's the governor's mansion? It's Quapaw Court.
Uh-huh.
What
are the Boy Scouts called?
The Quapaw, yeah.
And don't we have the Ouachita Mountains are in the Quapaw something, aren't they?
The Quapaw are everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yes. So the Quapaw
means downstream people. I looked it up.
You got it. And
I looked it up. This was really interesting. Quapaw means downstream people, and in 1834 were removed from Arkansas and sent to Oklahoma.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that sad?
And there was a quick stop that's even sadder. They were sent to what is basically Shreveport now, where they almost all died.
Yeah.
And
they died
a lot. Louisiana?
Of
I didn't know that.
So your name is from Lebanon.
I'm Lebanese, yeah.
Your dad, how'd he get here?
So my dad was born in Lawton, Oklahoma. My great-grandparents were immigrants.
Oh.
Oklahoma is a cool state because everybody came to Oklahoma. It's actually the other side of sort of the ugliness we were talking about Native America, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the land rush was huge. And so I had family in St. Louis and family in Kentucky. My grandma and my grandpa were both Lebanese. And so I'm like 3/8, almost half
Your
Lebanese.
name traces its roots back to the Arabic language.
I suppose.
It does. I looked it up because it's such a weird name.
It is a weird name.
Where it signifies purity and innocence. And it's from the Arabic.
Well, that might be a misnomer.
Yeah, that one's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But what is interesting is then I looked up Saracen because I'm like, why Saracen?
He was a Quapaw leader.
Well, it's an Arab or Muslim. If you look it up in Google, the definition is what you call an Arab or a Muslim is Saracen. So you come from Arabic. Your Saracen casino is an Arabic.
We're also an Arabic word.
It's also an Arabic word. You've
So
got deep ties, brother.
That's an odd one. I will tell you, I think it's like a rugby team or something called the Saracens.
Oh.
Saracen was a weird time, like with the Crusades. And I mean, you get into some odd history.
So there was a chief named Saracen.
Yeah, and I use the word chief in air quotes. He was a leader. I don't know if he was an official chief or not. I'm going to get myself in trouble here. I should know my Quapaw history better. But he was a very well-respected tribal leader who actually owned land in Arkansas. And when folks were sent
1834?
When folks were sent to Shreveport, he brought many of them back. So if you drive around Pine Bluff, there are all these sort of Easter egg hidden nuggets about Quapaw history. So my friends in Pine Bluff refer to the street that the courthouse sits on as, well, so it's supposed to be Barraquet or Barraque, and it ends up being mispronounced in all kinds of ways. That was named after Antoine Barraquet or Barraque, depending upon how you pronounce it. He was the federal intermediary between the tribe and the federal government. He was French, and he got a lot of criticism because they thought he was too Indian friendly. So there are things all over Pine Bluff that have Quapaw lineage and Quapaw history. So Saracen himself, the leader of the Quapaw people, is buried in the Catholic cemetery in Pine Bluff.
Really?
Yeah. So the casino itself is named for a leader who is buried in Pine Bluff. And long before that casino was there, the lake that abuts.
I saw that Saracen Lake put in.
Yeah, we didn't put that there.
You didn't put that there?
No. The coolest Saracen story in Pine Bluff.
Yeah, there's a put-in called the Saracen Landing.
You can Google this. There is a mural in downtown Pine Bluff that says Saracen, Arkansas's original folk hero or something along those sorts. And it's this story that's too long to tell that's almost like a Disney story about Saracen saving some French children from a raiding party from another tribe. And, they teach it in school, but Quapaw history is Arkansas history.
Pine Bluff is a really weird place.
Pine Bluff is one of my favorite places in the world. And people are going to go, this guy's a homer. He's just selling.
Yeah,
no,
that's what I'm saying.
Some of my favorite people on earth are Pine Bluff people. Shout out to Bill Jones, Ford Trotter. I mean, amazing. The saint of Pine Bluff. That's what I call him. Tommy May is a saint. Pine Bluff, right? And we forget Simmons Bank and so many other things. Simmons, of course, is publicly traded NASDAQ bank.
Yeah, they're from Pine Bluff. Been
you
there
got
forever.
a 40-story building behind us with
and they
their
have really
name
low
on.
interest credit card, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got the old Axiom building by the Clinton Library, but their corporate headquarters for their NASDAQ stock filings, Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
No way.
Look it up. The trouble is there are so many people from there, but not still there, and that is something we're changing.
So why did you decide to put the Saracen Casino down there? Because they are losing population. A couple of years ago, they lost more population than any other city in America. And then shortly thereafter, you decided to put a casino in there.
So some of it was dictated by the Constitution, right? The Constitution said there'd be 4 licenses.
Oh, right.
Didn't work out quite so well in Russellville. And I kind of keep my mouth shut
Is
about
that the one we just voted on?
Yeah.
Oh.
Again, right? We voted that we wanted it, and then we voted that we didn't want it. And Pine Bluff was a far more attractive location. So for all of the realtors out there, what's the old cliche about real estate?
I don't know.
Location. Yeah.
So you're in the wrong spot.
We're in the right spot. Why? What's the closest place to gamble from where we sit? Is it Hot Springs?
No.
Would it be Russellville or would it be Pine Bluff?
It's Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
and
a
the best,
75
and the best
by a
freeway.
long shot.
The best
Yeah.
damn road, 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to get to Saracen, you go like you're going to the airport. You keep going straight on this beautiful road, and you take exit 46 that says Saracen Resort Drive, and you're on our land.
So
you don't even turn.
So you can gamble in Hot Springs. You said there's 4 licenses. Hot Springs. Is it West Memphis?
West Memphis and us. And the 4th license.
And then they got rid of Russellville.
Yeah. So, but that's more of the soft bigotry of low expectations, right? People thought we'd screw it up in Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
And they thought Russellville would do it great. And Russellville has been mired in infighting, controversy. And Pine Bluff, we're just hiring folks and making money. So you asked about the annex, and I want to tell you very quickly why we built the annex, the little baby casino.
Make money.
That was one of 3 reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we made money, quite a bit of it, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But what was far more valuable was that we were able to get our workforce up to speed quickly. So
that's a good idea. Training. It was a training.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's so smart.
So we've overstaffed it dramatically. I mean, the number of FTEs that we had for that facility was incredibly inefficient. By design, we overstaffed it so that everyone got experience because they were almost all new to the casino business, right?
Sure.
And so if you had a problem, it was like your boss was right there. Your supervisor was right there. We sent many of them to Downstream, the other casino the tribe owns, to be trained. But when you've got a building that's so small, has 300 machines, you could damn near shout, I need some help over here.
Mm-hmm.
And those people today
Mm-hmm.
are our managers at the big Saracen property.
Oh, I bet. Mm-hmm.
But they learned in what you would almost call
trenches.
a safe space.
Oh, I see.
Right? Because you get loose in big Saracen and you're in trouble.
Mhm.
You got to radio somebody and figure out the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But that little casino with way too much staff was the driving range where people warmed up and practiced and learned their job. The third thing that it did was money, not just for us, but for the city,
Mm-hmm.
an immediate infusion and a perceptual change. So the amendment that legalized casino gaming passed overwhelmingly, and it passed in Jefferson County. But there were still people that were like, I don't know about this. What's it going to mean for our community? Because
Well, it is weird. We're a very conservative state. We don't have abortions. We don't have, what's the other thing we don't have?
A lot of stuff.
I mean, but you
we
know,
know a lot of
no, I
stuff.
mean, we're very Christian and all that. And then you
Yeah,
go ahead and
yeah.
you put gambling in. So it is a weird kind of an oxymoron kind of thing.
somebody told me one time, voids of information are
Mhm.
rarely filled charitably, right? So
Mhm.
Gosh, he's just full
He's
of
full of
quotes. Are you
one-liners.
writing
But-
all these down?
But so people go, what's a casino going to be like? I don't know. And they immediately assume the worst.
Yeah.
Well, guess
Yeah.
what happens when we build this place and we start hiring people and they've got 401ks and they're making good money and it's a great place to work? Well, those are people's neighbors, cousins,
Yeah.
Sunday school classmates. And within about 6 weeks, people are like, damn, I heard that's a pretty good place to work.
Yeah.
And you know what? They built a casino and the sun still rose.
Oh, I
and
think
it changed the perception
I
in
think
the
the
community.
good way outweighs any of the negative.
But we got to prove it in 100 days with a little bitty building where we made money. The city made money. We trained our employees. That was the beauty.
So-
the employees are the whole business. That's it. They're the whole business.
I love your business model, the way you talk about your employees. It's absolutely
And
true.
I actually don't generally use the word employees. It's team, because I think anything that you are authorized and trained to do is your job.
Mhm. So last night there were more employee cars than there were customer cars. Grady kept going, are we supposed to park at the back here? That's where all the cars are. And I said, I think that's the employees. And so we went to the front and we were like, there's as many employees. There's an employee for every person there. You can't see them once you get inside. They're in the restaurants and they're all over. But exactly like you said, it's a lot of good training, a lot of good people, and hiring a lot of people. I mean, I could just see the benefits.
We've
so
got a
much.
dozen folks in the training department, and they're incredible. They're so good that the videos they produce, we've been approached by companies who want to acquire them, license them, repackage them, and sell them. And we said, no. Now, we're not in the business of creating educational videos, but no, hats off to Will. Our training department's the best.
So you're from Oklahoma. Your whole family's from Oklahoma.
Oh, God, the whole grandparents.
You
the whole bit.
accidentally went to a tour of the Arkansas and Fayetteville and saw mountains for the first time.
Pretty much.
And
I mean,
said, I got to move here.
That was pretty much it.
Did you break your mother's heart?
I think I broke my mother's heart when I didn't go to law school. She will forever find me to be something
You
of a
do
failure.
act like a lawyer.
Everybody thinks I'm a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer.
I actually put you're a lawyer
I'm
and
not
then
a
read and
lawyer.
you're not a lawyer.
No, they
But
used
you
to-
do lawyer stuff.
I do lawyery stuff, but yeah,
You read legalese.
a lot. And I worked in the Capitol. We used to write stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm comfortable at it, but
Your grandmother's a gifted musician.
incredible.
Is that why you're on the Arkansas Symphony Opus Ball?
That was it. So when they approached us about chairing the Opus Ball last year, my wife wanted to do it. Actually, this is weird. We were in
Are
Cuba.
you a musician?
Mm,
Sort of.
sort of. We were in Cuba, of all places.
I've been there.
I love Cuba.
I love it.
Very
We were in
cool.
Cuba, and I got an email from Christina Littlejohn asking us to chair the Opus Ball. And I hadn't even told Christina this story. I said, Kristen, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, let's talk about it. Well, we'll see. She said, your grandmother, you should do it for your grandmother. I said, well, let's talk about it. Well, she emailed Christina and said, we're in. So I was in before I was in, and I'm glad that we did it. It was a lot of fun, and it's an incredible cause. And, in addition to that, we've been privileged enough to be able to help with the Museum of Fine Arts of late too. So, for a kid from southwestern Oklahoma, I'm faking my way into the arts, I suppose.
Yeah, you are. What's the first job you had after college?
Okay, so after college was the same job I had in college. So my dad told me that I was not allowed to play golf every day when I came home. Now, that sounds really sexy. I grew up in a small town in southwestern Oklahoma. Nice town about the size of Fort Smith. But I played golf every day when I was a kid. I was on a golf team in high school. That's just what I did. And he said, you're not going to play golf every day. You got to get a job. And my dad was in the insurance business. So he sent me to the Oklahoma Panhandle to sell insurance with some guys that worked with my dad. And so I did that for years. I was on scholarship in college and lived in a fraternity house. And I would make commission money selling insurance. And that was I had a lot of fun on Dixon Street with insurance commission.
Sure.
So along about a week after my 21st birthday, I met my wife, and I just love at first sight. And we've been together. I'll be 43 next week. We've been together for 22 years. So, over half my life with her. She wanted to get married. My mother wanted me to go to law school. Kristen won because we got married. And so I kept doing what I knew how to do, which was the insurance business. And the truth is I loved it. I think everyone should have a job in sales. I also think sales is a wonderful career. But everyone should have some time in the barrel as a salesman, because when you have to eat what you kill on commission sales, you know how important it is. You also learn that if you push too hard, you blow it. But if you don't ask for the sale, you don't get it. I mean, everybody needs that experience in their life. And I loved sales. I didn't know so much love insurance, but I loved sales, and I loved people, and I loved stories. And I left that to go work for ASA. And then I left ASA to go. Well, I'd known the governor for a long time and always respected him. But
he wasn't the governor. Did y'all go to college together?
Well, he's quite a bit older than I am.
Oh, yeah, he sure is. What am I talking about?
No, I met him when I was in Fayetteville, and I had a good friend. This is not worth delving into, but I will tell you, it's funny how relationships turn into other things. I can attribute almost everyone I know in Arkansas to two people that I know. I can think about like a family tree branching.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a guy who was my big brother in the SAE house, and about half the people I know I met through him. And then a buddy of mine who was a political consultant, about half the people I met through him. And what was really funny was over the course of the last 25 years, those two trees have sort of merged back together. But it's just funny how life works. But I met Asa through my political friend, and helped him a little bit when he was running. And he said, why don't you come work for me? And I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, do you want to work at an agency? Do you want to work in the Capitol? I said, I want to serve at your pleasure wherever you think, Governor. And he said, you'll be bored to death in an agency. Come to the Capitol. And we had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. You got some good legislation passed.
We did some cool stuff. I will tell you this. I said earlier that I'm humble, but I am going to boast on one thing.
Batting 1,000. I know what you're going to say.
It. I quit. I quit while I was ahead. We never tried to kill a bill that we didn't get killed, and we never tried to pass a bill that we didn't get passed. But as good as I thought we were, there was one better. The greatest of all time I've ever seen at the Capitol is a guy named Vu Ritchie. And Vu's working with Warren Stevens over at Stevens now. And Vu is the best. I thought we were good. But
the best at what?
Politics. He can figure anything out. Anything. You ever worked around someone truly brilliant?
Yes, God, it makes me you just want to be with him all the time.
And you think you got it going on, and then you're like, holy hell, that guy is playing 4D chess, and I'm not even playing checkers. I'm flipping coins.
Yeah.
But, and I worked with some other incredible people. Government, and this is going to sound ugly, but government is full of some incredibly brilliant people. And yes, I'm not going to lie. There are a lot of people that just kind of phone it in and work just hard enough to not get fired.
It's surprising how many really smart people are in politics. And I guess they're just bored and they got to do something that's really challenging.
It's counterintuitive, though, because in government, risks are not rewarded. but smart people are drawn to it.
Mhm.
I mean, the funny thing about government is there's more zeros on anything you ever do than in any business, short of maybe Amazon or Walmart, right? So everything is the ability to change lives and huge dollar sums. I mean, these massive policy decisions. And you have many people who are some of the most brilliant people you will ever meet. One of the public service commissioners, a guy named Justin Tate. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. You know, Vu Ritchie. I mean, there's a number of these guys I worked with that just run circles around everyone in the room. And I loved it. But after a while, I felt like I had a friend who said, you don't have anything to prove anymore. And it wasn't enough action for me. I loved it when the legislature was in. But when I had this opportunity to go to the casino business, not knowing anything about how the casino business runs, I was promised that I would never have a boring day. And that promise was absolutely true.
Why did you, how did you go home and tell your wife, I'm quitting this job and I'm going to go work for this place that's just a bean field out in Pine Bluff?
Well, it actually was almost quite the opposite. So the Quapaws have a gentleman who works with him, a dear friend. He's like family to me, named Don Tilton, who has worked for the tribe forever. And Don went to the governor and said, I'd like to talk to Carlton about coming to work for us.
So he asked for his permission.
Yeah.
That was nice.
It's a classy way. Don's old school.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the great, great lobbyists. I mean, that's institutional knowledge for Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
And so Don and I visited, and the plan was essentially that I'd watch their back while the place was being built. And it was essentially that, you know, Carlton knows Arkansas and he's a straight shooter and he'll watch. And I guess I didn't screw it up because they didn't fire me. But I called my wife and I said, so here's the deal. I've been offered this. And I want to say this because there's a lot of women that do this and they don't get the credit for it. When I was in the insurance business, I was the breadwinner. When I worked in government pays almost nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even at a senior level, it pays very little, especially in the capital. So she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but she went back to work as a public accountant so we could pay our bills. So
Your wife did that?
Yeah, for me, she's the best. So for 5
Wow.
5 years, she was the breadwinner. I mean, I was working full time, but she made more money than I did. So when I approached her about this and I told her the details, she said this, and if this doesn't cut you to your core, nothing else will. She said it with love. She said, you do everything for everyone. You'd give them the shirt off your back. I said, oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do this for us.
Oh.
In other words, I want to stay home with the kids. I can tell you're getting restless and bored. Make the leap.
You did it.
So yeah, I didn't have to explain it. She asked me to do it. It's the best decision I ever made. And it is an honor every day. I tell people that I want to die at my desk, but not tomorrow. But I'm an action junkie. And I will tell you, if you want to work in an action-filled environment, the casino is absolutely it. No 2 days are ever the same.
So you started Bet Saracen.
We started Bet Saracen, and there was a crew of us that did. And
Talk about successful.
it's a lot of fun, I will tell you.
All right, let's take a quick break.
All
When we
right.
come back, we're going to talk about Bet Saracen. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Mr. Carlton Saffa, Marketing Director for Saracen Casino Resort in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. As you can hear, he's a lot more than just the marketing director. We'll come back. We're going to talk about Bet Saracen, how you can get involved, and how successful it's been. We'll be right back.
Today at flagandbanner.com, we're installing large mesh banners on our new addition. Mesh banners provide protection from the wind and rain, but are more durable in high wind areas. Before you drill into your building, call the experts for high-quality banners and professional installation.
Look at all that gray hair. He's definitely an expert. Flagandbanner.com has been helping our customers for over 45 years. For advice on functional and beautiful banners, call flagandbanner.com.
We're speaking today with Executive Mr. Carlton Saffa of Saracen Casino in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He is super duper motivational, fun to talk to. If you're just turning on the radio, you need to go to our YouTube channel and watch him. He's animated. Or you can listen to the radio shows, or you can just get the podcast wherever you like to listen. So we did talk about gaming and which games to play and all that, but now I want to talk about Bet Saracen.
Yeah.
That is the smartest thing y'all done down there. I mean, you're getting money. You don't even have to be there to make money. Go ahead.
It's a scary business.
Why?
It's extremely volatile.
Betting is on the. Oh, you mean sports because you never know who's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't they use algorithms for that to figure it out?
No, we do. But I'll tell you, there's all kinds of things. Who thought Georgia Tech would go all those overtimes with Georgia? right? No AI,
one.
no AI model would ever put that out, right? And so that's what I mean by volatility.
Boy.
So let's talk for a second about what volatility means.
Okay.
So in a slot machine environment, we know that we are going to traditionally keep about 7% of the money that goes through the machines. That doesn't necessarily mean you, but it means enough play over the course of a month. And there'll be in a month, $150 million go through those slot machines.
Well, and you can program them the way you want them to be.
And they're programmed.
But you can't program football.
Correct. In sports, we can lose a lot of money very quickly. No single bettor has more at risk than we do because we're party to every single wager. So we have a lady that regularly bets $200,000 on NFL games. That's a huge bet, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But,
Damn.
by the way,
she came to play.
But let me get this in here. The average wager at Saracen is $29. So I'm very proud of that. That the average wager is skin in the game. That people are not betting crazy.
Yeah.
But there are people of means who do bet large bets. So somebody betting $200,000 a game, you're like, wow, that's a big bet. Well, we have a $200,000 bet there too, really. Because if it loses, we have to pay it.
Right.
Plus all the other bets that are out there.
Yeah.
So no one stands to win or lose more than the sports book. I don't sweat the money because
do you think they're crooked? Do you think some of those games are crooked?
No, I don't. In fact, I have just the opposite opinion. And I did an interview with a group called gambling.com on this. I think that betting actually, and people are going to go, this guy's full of it. I think betting actually brings integrity to what's going on in the field. And here's why. Because when there's that much money involved, there are that many people watching. In other words, if you have a publicly traded stock on the New York Stock Exchange or on the NASDAQ, there is so much scrutiny on what's going on because there are people betting both sides. Some think it'll go up, some think it'll go down. You have regulators, you have visibility. But if you buy a penny stock that's traded on some obscure foreign exchange, that's where all the shady stuff happens, right? Where there's no visibility. Sunlight is an incredible disinfectant.
That's true. I hadn't thought of it like that.
I'm not saying there's no scrutiny without casinos, but you're going to rely on the leagues and the conferences and the regulators to do it. But I can tell you what we do to monitor this because there's so much money involved is deep.
Do you have a ceiling of any kind?
That's a trick question.
It is?
Well, for an average player, yes. And what I mean by that is a guy signs up for Bet Saracen. We don't know him. He wants to bet $1 million on a game. Yeah. We're not going to take that. There's something strange, right? But if you're a known player with a history with us, absolutely. And that's the same on the floor, right? I mean, we have posted limits.
Oh, sure.
But it just depends. I mean, I have a friend who will bet upwards of $100,000 on Razorback team wins, games, but he's got a long track record of wagering with us, right? But some guy on the street, you worry. And where you really worry, and you ask me if it's rigged, this is part of the reason that I also am confident it's not rigged. We subscribe to every service there is that monitors this. And the best one used to be called US Integrity. Now they're, I think, called IC360. But they monitor wagering all across the globe. And anytime something strange happens, it pops up on their radar and we get an alert. And so where you see those things happen, oftentimes are in very obscure sports, like Pakistani boxing, or I remember had an alert that went out. It was some school in the Northeast I'd never heard of, and I don't mean to be. This is going to sound really ugly, and I don't mean to be ugly or offensive, but my name for them is Sisters of the Poor. Right? When it's a little college in the Northeast I've never heard of, I call them Sisters of the Poor. Yeah. So who are we playing this week? Sisters of the Poor. Yeah. It was like Sisters of the Poor versus some other Sisters of the Poor, some no-name deal. And someone in Arizona had tried to wager hundreds of thousands of dollars on this game. Yeah. That sends off red flags everywhere. And so we all begin to examine across the country. Every reputable operator begins to examine their books to see if they have any irregularities. And we didn't. And there you go. There's one instance that I can point to. You had the Iowa thing and the Alabama thing in baseball, which never really was settled out exactly what happened. In one instance, there was a coach. There may have been some information. But the most vivid example you've seen of fixing was an NBA player. And he was kind of a low-level NBA player who had come up from the minors. And he was involved in a gambling rigging incident about a year ago. You know who caught it? The sports books. because we're watching, right?
Is that the Asian guy that had his best friend doing it?
No, that was a baseball player.
Oh.
It was Ohtani. No, this was a guy, I think he played for the Raptors, but the books caught him because we're party to it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like the bank catches fraud. We're the same way.
So I want to talk about your business style. And I think people can probably already hear this about you. You said the culture of Saracen is far more important than the strategy. Organizational culture is slowly built but hard to change. At Saracen, we work together and grow together in a space where office politics are simply not tolerated.
Yes.
I love that. I feel like it took me a long time in business to learn. Fire the ones that are stirring it up quick. 3 strikes, you're out. I mean, I used to try to fix them and fix everything around them. And then finally, one of my really great employees said, you're spending all your time on the C student. Would you spend your time on the A students and get rid of the Ds?
I don't want to work around anyone who doesn't want everyone to succeed. I realize that sounds very like children's storybook Pollyanna.
No, it's so true, though.
But I assume that you run your business this way.
I do.
Everyone that is here will help each other. There are businesses, politics is perhaps one of the worst environments where someone assumes if I knife the guy down the hall and he fails, then I'll shine a little bit brighter.
That is so wrong.
I lived with that. And I'm not afraid to say it. I had a person who I reported to at one point who had no interest in developing talent. And I can tell you what that looks like on the world stage. So you're going to go, this guy's crazy. Saddam Hussein had a habit of killing his best generals.
Really?
Oh, I've heard this before. Yeah.
Now, it makes perfect sense because if you're going to have a military coup,
Oh.
who's going to do it?
Yeah, right.
The good generals,
Yeah.
right? So he killed all his good generals. But what happened when he went to war?
He had no good generals.
Yeah, he had a big army. He had no good generals.
Yeah.
So I think that office politics are the environment of the most petty and desperate people. I think they ought to get involved in like a school board race or something. If you want to pull that crap, then get out there and really do it.
Please don't take it to the school board.
No, really.
Okay, or something even lower level,
There
right?
you
Like
go.
maybe
There you
neighborhood
go.
association.
There you go.
But the lower the stakes, the meaner the politics can be. And in office politics are toxic, period, hard stop.
So every time I do an interview, I do the research on the person and learn a little bit. And I always learn something that I like and I carry forward. And so this is a quote of yours that really got me thinking, and it's going to make me do a time study on my life. And you say, when we choose to work on something, we are also choosing to not work on something else. It is all about debating opportunity costs, just to put it frankly.
No, that's right.
I think everybody listening should do a time study of what they spend their day on and see what they're choosing to work on that's keeping them from maybe doing the things they want to do.
I think I got a C in macroeconomics at Fayetteville, but I do remember opportunity cost. But,
Opportunity cost.
But here's the deal.
Lost
right?
opportunity cost.
So we chose to be here together. You were kind enough to invite me. I accepted. But there are things you could be doing right now instead of sitting with me. There are things I could be doing instead of sitting with you. And we both decided that this was a good use of our time, right?
Yeah.
That sounds really pedestrian, but there's something there, right? Like you have unanswered emails. I have phone calls to return.
Yeah.
We chose to do this. And so, you hear all of these old wise people talk about, as I got old, time is the most valuable asset. I mean, all of that's so abstract.
Yeah.
But in my life, I think about when I choose to do this, I choose not to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not a zero-sum game. I mean, you can get everything accomplished generally if you keep up, but you tend to get better at what you work on and what you measure. And when you're measuring and working on one thing, you're not the other.
I'm going to start measuring my time. I really am. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. I haven't done it in a long time.
Don't let me get carried away. I'm not very good at delegating. And, I've got plenty of flaws. But I think where I said that was with respect to the sports book, because we invested in an inordinate amount of time and money in the sports book. And I'm proud to tell you that Bet Saracen today is the 13th largest sports book in the country.
No, I meant to mention that.
So,
thank you.
And it's also our second largest revenue stream, which is weird because in most casinos, it's slots, table, sports. At Saracen, it's slots, sports, tables.
See why you shouldn't bet slots, y'all?
But we had a lady when it was a fella. Dig this. It was a guy from Hot Springs,
Yeah.
which I love. He drove to Pine Bluff to play Saracen. $953,000 on a single spin.
Yeah.
Whitney Houston machine.
A lot of people lost a lot of money for him to do that.
But the point is true. It is what you choose. And by the way, that doesn't just have to do with business, right? I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. And there are times that I choose to work on business stuff and I'll start typing around on my computer. And then actually I did it yesterday on an airplane with my daughter. I was writing emails and about halfway through, I thought these can wait. And I shut it and I chose to sit and see if I could help Stella study for her exams. Because when you choose to do something, you choose not to do something else. And those emails can wait. They weren't urgent, but she's got exams right now. Mm-hmm. And I got to spend some time with my daughter. And so that's not just, do I work on this project or that project? It's, do I call my mom? Or do I go home and have dinner with my family, right? Mm-hmm. But just remember, when you choose to do something, you are choosing not to do something else. Opportunity cost is what an economist would call it.
So this will be our last quote from you, but I like it. And I'm not sure that you really mean this.
We'll see.
So much, or that I even believe it. So much of life is just showing up, and I believe you make your own luck in life. Who you know may get you in the room, but what you know gets you the job. The best part of this life is showing up and giving your darndest. It is who you know.
That's only half of it. And I'm going to tell you where that came about.
Okay.
So there's a lady, this is probably TMI. My problem in life is that I have these huge weight swings. So in my closet, I've got 48 jackets all the way down to 42. Like I might gain or lose.
What?
Yeah, I might gain or lose 10 pounds in any given month.
What?
It's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's weird, But yeah, so like I've got like 34, 36, 38, 40 jeans. Like I have these huge weight swings. And I don't go from 40 to 32 in a month, but like I've been fat and skinny about 5 times in the last 5 years, right? So I have this great relationship with a woman in an alteration shop in our neighborhood, and she's great, real sweet lady. And she works there with her family, and part of the time she's a realtor. And she had said to me, I just feel like life is, you spend a lot of time with somebody loosening up and then tightening up your coats. Yeah. And the same coat. She told me one day, she said, we can't adjust this coat anymore. It's out of threads. You're ruining it.
She ought to say it's out of fashion if you've had it that long.
Well, anyway, but she said, Carlton, I feel like it's all about who you know. And I said, I don't think that's true. And she said, no, it's all about who you know. And I said, no. Who you know is very important. That gets you to the table. That gets you in the room.
Yeah.
But if you think that knowing somebody is enough to get you there, you're sorely mistaken. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm not going to tell you that it is a pure meritocracy, that you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps and succeed on your own. I'm not one to network, really. I've never been that way.
Whatever. You're like on 1,000 clubs.
Yeah, but here's the deal. I do them because I care about them. I don't do them to meet people.
You're an accidental networker then.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, this is ugly. This is probably the only ugly thing I'm going to say on here.
The 6th time he's prefaced something with "it's ugly."
School of the Poor Girls is pretty ugly.
No, sisters of the poor. Right?
Sisters of the Poor.
So the analogy is it's like a little nun Catholic school.
Got it.
Oh, I get
Sisters
you.
of the Poor.
I didn't even get it all together.
Yeah, Sisters of the Poor. All right, so the quickest way to get me to not go to something is call it a networking event. Because I'm like, I don't want to go to a thing for a bunch of people that just want to meet people. Going just to network, I get it. But the best type of networking is organic. You meet a guy on a plane, you meet somebody in a restaurant, you meet a friend of a friend, or somebody goes, oh, you two are just alike, or you go hunting with somebody. I can't tell you how many friends I ended up in a duck blind with because he was a friend of a friend, and then that guy becomes a buddy. But that happens organically. Everything real grows organically. Networking is so artificial that it doesn't, business card exchanges and stuff like that. But if you get to the table, that required either cold luck, they liked your resume, you went to Harvard, whatever, or you knew somebody. But that only got you to the table.
Or persistence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what always gets me, persistence.
And that's about making your own luck, right?
Yeah.
Showing up every day, you make your own luck.
Calling them until they have to finally see you.
Yeah. But once you're at the table, you have to earn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are jobs. I'm not going to lie. There are jobs where, and not at Saracen, But there are jobs you go, why does she work here? And be like, well, that's the owner's niece. Okay. That's knowing somebody. She's also not running the company.
Mhm.
Can you find enough employees down there in Pine Bluff?
Yeah, we can. We're the employer of choice. I would love to tell you that we took people who had been unemployed for 30 years and put them to work. It wouldn't be true. But what we did do was take people who were getting by, and now they're doing a heck of a lot more than getting
So
by.
are you open 7 days a week?
7 days a week, 365,
3 and how many hours? All night long?
24 hours a day, 365. We'll be
Oh
open.
my God, wow, that's a lot of people. No
Yeah.
wonder you have 800 plus employees.
The coolest day I ever had at Saracen.
I can't stay awake at night. Do you ever go down there at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I have.
Is it miserable?
No,
I don't know how you do
Super
that.
fun, I bet.
it's fun.
A lot of cigarette smoking going on.
I have periodically shown up in the middle of the night, but not to be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see the middle of the night employees. I'm like, look, they don't want to see me, but
Well,
there
I
are
want to see the people in the middle of the
but there
night.
are some people to whom they may not feel so great about the fact that their job has them working overnight.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, wait a minute, if that guy's here, maybe I'm okay. I mean, look, I'm nobody, but in that organization, I am a higher end of the hierarchy, and I want everybody. There is incredible dignity in work. And if me showing up in the middle of the night to spend a shift with someone, and I'm not hanging out with them, but
Yeah.
how you doing? Good to see you. I appreciate you. It's meaningful. And so, yeah. But
Yeah,
the thing
it
I
is.
miss most
It
is when we
is.
only had 300 employees, because I knew everyone by name and I knew their
You're
stories
good at
and their
names.
people.
You're good at
And I've
names.
lost it with 800. I have, and that's my huge regret.
You're good. Y'all have been, listeners, we've been talking to Mr. Carlton Saffa from Saracen Casino in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Fun. So fun. You don't need a drink. You're fun without drinking.
Wow.
So this is your gift for being on here. It's a desk set. Gray, when he leaves today, will you go down and get him an
You can
Oklahoma,
get him in
flag?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to have an Oklahoma flag put in your office at Saracen.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been fun.
You're a blast. I love you.
But I want you to have Weena on. You're going to love her. The chair of the
Weena,
Quapaws.
that's a great
The
idea.
chair of the Quapaws she is so cool.
And I need to have Sidney Moncrief on, but I didn't know he was ever in Arkansas.
He is sometimes. I think he's going to be here Monday.
And you need to put me on your commercials.
We'll do it. We'll do it. No, Weena's the best. Rex Nelson interviewed her, and I think he wrote 3 or 4 columns out of one interview.
Oh, that's so cool.
Really?
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Was that recently?
That's probably about 6 months ago.
Oh, it was recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Weena's the best.
I love it. Look, and what a name.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank
This
you.
show was recorded in the historical Taborian Hall in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas, and made possible by the good works of flagandbanner.com, Mr. Tom Wood, our audio engineer, Mr. Jonathan Hankins, our videographer, daughter, Miss Megan Pittman, production manager, and my co-host, Mr. Grady McCoy IV, a.k.a. Son Gray. To our listeners, we thank you for spending time with us. We hope you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next time on the radio. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more of Kerry's interviews, click on either video on the right of the screen. And as always, thank you for watching.